Good morning and welcome to Tuesday Patriot Radio News Hour. I'm Joe Jaquin, CEO of the Patriot Trading Group, and our toll-free number, 800-951-0592. The website at allamericangold.com. And again, we're starting to see, we'll see if it continues, but we're starting to see some supply shortages again. In the metals market. I mean, obviously, we already know silver eagles, gold eagles, they're just not around, and if they are, they're super expensive. U.S. $20 gold pieces now starting to disappear again. We'll keep you updated on that, as well as, yesterday talked about pension funds now buying physical metals, and I think we're going to see more and more of that play out. It just makes sense. Right? When you think about all the things that are happening in the world today and all the uncertainty and all the debt and thinking about what's happening with the stock market, right? You have these 7 or 8 crazy stocks and then everything else, and where else are you going to put your money? And most people, and again, this is what we thought would happen, right? You create all this money. It's got to go somewhere. Looks like it's going into the gold markets. Got a big shipping day today. We're pretty much going to be all caught up in both offices here today, so we're right on schedule as far as that goes. Tomorrow, I'm doing a special show tomorrow. It is going to be, and I want to say 12:30 to 1 Colorado time. I'm going to have James Morgan on. We're going to talk some real estate and what's happening in the markets. Home prices, all-time record highs, and we're seeing, people trying to move out of the cities. Well, I should say some cities, right? It's not all cities, but some of the big cities, a lot of the blue states. When you think about the election, and they call these states that have gone red, they're going purple. It's because they're getting so many people from the blue states. And the funny part about it is the blue state people are moving because they don't like the violence, they don't like the crime, they don't like the tax rate, right? They don't like the cost of living. What they don't understand is it's the policies that they support that create all those things. I wish we had, at our board into Arizona, if you're coming in and you've got a blue plate license plate and it looks like you're moving to town, you've got to give up your liberal ideologies, but it probably won't happen. And listen, it's not all of that. But look at New Jersey, of the latest, what they're forced to do. New Jersey doesn't have a choice. I told you yesterday about the gas tax in New Jersey. And these states, they all need revenue. Right? Where are they going to get it from? Here's the problem. The red states, we need revenue too. So it's going to be very, very interesting. We're going to see a lot more layoffs occurring, both in the public and the private sector. We're used to the private sector. We haven't talked a lot about the public sector, but get ready. That wave is coming because, simply put, let's face it, less and less people are, whether it be the one spending their money, having jobs, the unemployment checks, those are taxable, believe it or not. Yeah, those are taxable, but let's face it, a lot of people are not getting them. We're up to 6 states now. 6 states are allegedly sending out money. I'll try to keep you updated. Remember, that money runs out, that extra $300. It's only that was money diverted from FEMA. That's how they came up with the $44 billion, so we'll keep our eyes on that. We're going to update restaurants, because I think this is going to be really important. Think about, and I was looking back at all the jobs that were created after the financial crisis, and you remember, and I would make fun of them, right? The waiters and the waitresses and the bartenders with the college degrees, right? And would you like paper or plastic? Would you like fries with that? I mean, really, we become a big investor, if you will, of these big chains. I'll call them the super chains, the restaurants, and all of those things where a lot of people were working. and I'm going to update everybody on where big cities are at. Where are the restaurant sales? Are they down 10%, 20%, 50%? And get an indication of what we can see moving forward. So it's going to be pretty interesting as we break down the entire country because, we kind of live in a bubble. Arizona, I think we've been lucky. I can say, we did have that super spike. Cases seem to be coming down and down significantly. We have kids starting school. Live school has started here. We had it in a couple of places, but pretty much most of the places now in the next couple of weeks are going to either go back completely or start some hybrid program. Tomorrow we'll learn about high school football as well. We'll keep our fingers crossed that may be returning. Other high school sports are already playing, like golf, and a few of the others are already out there and participating. So we're probably doing a little better. But it's interesting to see even a place that's doing better, how much things are really off. And it's going to be very interesting how the states are going to be able to afford. We talk about the business owners, right, and what are they going to do, and how many of these places they're open, they've got the sign up, right, but aren't paying their rents. How many of those places are really going to go under? And I think that probably what we're going to need to keep the rest of them open, right? You're going to have to, 20, 30% got to close so the rest can stay open. Patriot Radio News Hour. We'll be back after the break. 800-951-0592. We got higher gold prices again today, higher silver prices again today. Silver hit $29, gold hit $2,000. Had a little selling, a little profit taking, and now back up about $5 right now, $19.75 in gold. Silver, $28.60 on silver this morning. And we're looking at and trying to think about, hey, how can we save what's left? And there's really only one way. We all can't own Apple stock and Tesla stock. We got to have jobs. And what really needs to happen is we need places to go out of business. I know it's hard to say, but for the rest of them to make it, right, we need places to close so the other ones could stay in business. And almost because of what the government has done by trying to, have these moratoriums and all these other things now, we're at this point, we're 6 months into this thing now. And we're at this point where, okay, a lot of these moratoriums are going to end. We have no idea how many of these places are even paying the rent, right? If you haven't paid the rent in 6 months, right, there's going to be a problem, right? It's not like the rent didn't come due, right? It's not like, we'll just, forget about it, right? It's got to get paid, and if it doesn't get paid, we're going to have these problems. So Wolf Richter does such a great job, and I probably do at least once a week, once every other week. Some of his stuff, his research is phenomenal, and he was looking at the restaurants, and he's talking about certain places. As an example, San Francisco, New York City, Honolulu, where sales are still down 80% in terms of seated diners. Now, you got some takeout, but 80% less people in these restaurants. And, listen, the restaurants, where they make a lot of their money? It's the $3 Coke. Right, it's that glass of wine, right? It's that $12 glass of wine or whatever it may be. That's where they make their money on the drinks, right? And not having butts in the seat, even if you had a good takeout business, it's detrimental to the bottom lines. But you're thinking about these places 6 months down and still off by 80%. Inside dining at restaurants throughout the state of California started on Monday, but only at 25 to 50% of capacity. So they were, depending on where they're at, hey, you're at 25, now you can go to 50%. No restaurant can survive on that, not one. And it's comical that they think that they could at all. In all, about 75% of restaurants that took reservations, okay, they were on what's that app? It escapes me. Open Table. That's what I was thinking about. But 75% of restaurants that took reservations are now taking them again. The problem is the other 25% doesn't appear like they have reopened because most of the states now, I think all of them actually now, are letting them open in some form of capacity. But now they're talking about the seated diner and how long that they can survive. Right now, as a country in the United States, if you go back to February 27th and say that's the water level mark, that was the last week, if you will, before we started seeing COVID appear. As of the last week of August, we are seeing seated dining, this is butts in seats, down 50%. That's the average in the country. So when we start thinking about all the jobs that we created during the Obama administration, a lot of these jobs are in significant jeopardy. But he goes and looks at different things. Cincinnati, one of the best cities out there, they're only down about 25%. Columbus, down 35%. Minneapolis, where a lot of the riots are happening, down 60%. Indianapolis, down 60%. Chicago, down 75%. When you think about cities on the East Coast, okay, now the East Coast, much more liberal. Boston, down 60%. Baltimore, down 60%. Philadelphia, down almost 70%. Pittsburgh, down almost 70%. Washington, down almost 70%. New York, down almost 80% in New York. And, of course, New York, they were the last to open, as far as those things go. By the way, they're not going to start school in New York now till the end of September. How about the South? Okay, so we've seen the Midwest, right? We've got the East Coast. Tampa. When you think about Florida, probably one of the most aggressive states as far as reopening, right? They're like the leaders in COVID cases. Tampa, butts in seats down 25%. Charlotte, down 40%. Atlanta, down 60%. Austin, down 50%. Dallas, down 50%. Houston, Louisville, all down 50+% or more. Miami, down 60%. Nashville, down 60%. New Orleans, they're struggling. Right, New Orleans down 70%. And, of course, a lot of New Orleans, right, that's got to be tourism as well. And so, again, you need to understand when we're talking about Wall Street, that's one thing. But when we're talking about your finances and how things are going for you, this is actually very important. Almost every place that you possibly could work at somehow is touched by restaurants because it's such a big part of our economy. I mean, you drive around this town, they're everywhere, from the fast food place to the dining, the sit-downs, all the buffets are still closed everywhere. But the problem is 6 months later, they're still not back. And these layoffs that I feel like we're going to get a second wave of layoffs. I don't want a second wave, but it just looks like it's inevitable. And then you start thinking about what you do if there's less people consuming, right? All these places, you think about the airlines. I've already warned you, the airlines are making massive layoffs the first week of October. They're just going to be huge. The hotel industry now, they're just shutting down left and right. So be ready. So let's go to the West. Denver first up. Denver down 40%. Las Vegas. This one shocks me because I thought it'd be much worse. They say Las Vegas is down 40%. Phoenix. And I just want to make sure I got it right. I'm sorry, San Diego is next up. San Diego is down 50%. Phoenix, which is one that I thought we'd be better, we're down 60% here. And again, maybe that's the because of how well I guess we've recovered from the COVID, but down 60%. And it's just incredible. Portland, obviously, it's just a mess in Portland. Down 70%. And then you got L.A. and Seattle down 80%. Honolulu down 90%. San Francisco down 90%. And some of that, obviously, restrictions still in place. But very interesting when you think about this. And then something we haven't talked about. What other bills aren't being paid? Right? We know commercial loans. Right? We know I've talked about the houses, not, the rents and the mortgages not being paid. Power companies are now saying the amount of people not paying their power bill has shot up dramatically. And they're saying that just since the pandemic started, there was a federal moratorium put in place about a lot of things. I didn't realize that power was one of them, and that is one of them. At the beginning of September, right, which is today, it's the deadlines at utility companies that they can now start cutting the power to customers that have fallen behind on their bills. And according to the utilities, residents in Ohio, Florida, Maryland, Indiana, and Illinois are all at risk of shutoffs in September. In October, it's North Carolina, Texas, and Tennessee, right? So depending on your state, depends on who can be shut off and who can't be shut off. And they're saying that according to the latest estimates, 10% of all households are now behind on their power bill and are at risk of termination. In other words, they're not behind a couple of days, right? They're not down. They're down 30 days, right? These are 60, 90 days plus. They estimate that 34.5 million people could lose their power in 14 states starting next month. That's just 14 states. Duke Energy serves 7.8 million people, and they're mostly in the Southeast and the Midwest. They said that 300,000 of its customers are more than 60 days behind on their gas and electric bills. Florida Power and Light said 258,000 customers behind on their payments. Tampa Electric, 92,000 people are behind. One group says in Pennsylvania alone, 800,000 people haven't paid their bills. Minnesota, 300,000 people. And these are only July numbers. These aren't even August numbers. It's incredible. And the list just goes on. And it's just one of those things. I saw this article, never even dawned on me. Now, what I don't know, what I would have liked to have known in the article, what was the number before? Right? What was the number before? Because there's always a certain number of people that are in danger. But what was that number? I guarantee you it wasn't 34 million, and that's in 14 states. How big is the food stamps going to be? You're seeing all over the country now, food banks reporting record levels of people, record levels. And I bring this up because when you think about it, it's hard when you see what Wall Street does to understand. Here's my worry: is all of these people lose the ability to pay. What happens? I mean, they're going to end up on the government dime somehow. I mean, are all these people going to lose their homes? I don't know. Are we going to see another wave of housing? You know, I would hope. Housing's gotten so expensive that maybe a wave here would at least drive down the prices, but I don't know. It's going to be interesting. Tomorrow should be a very interesting conversation. J.C. Penney, got to talk about them. Do you know that there's still 70,000 people that work for them? I had no idea. I mean, because they keep shutting stores. They're in bankruptcy. It looks like right now, Reuters is reporting, and this could change, but it appears they're headed for liquidation. It appears that the group that was thinking about buying them, which was the landlords of these malls, looks like this deal has reached an impasse. J.C. Penney, unless something happens here real quick, heading for liquidation as well. Another 70,000 jobs.
Yes, ma'am, by God be darned.
800-951-0592. September. Get ready, Metals Plan people. Another delivery coming for the Metals Plans at the end of the month. I was just watching Brooke trying to put them all in. The 1st and the 15th are very, very popular days for the Metals Plans. So be ready at the end of the month for another delivery. Speaking of deliveries, remember Domino's? When they had the 30 minutes or less or it's free, and then people said it was too dangerous, right? The Domino's drivers were flying around, recklessly trying to make it in time. Apparently, this is what Amazon wants to do. But they don't want to do it by hiring people. Amazon got one step closer today to sending flying robots to your front door. Yep, it's coming. Like it or not, I don't know how this is going to work. I mean, I can just imagine all of these Amazon drones flying out, like darkening the skies. But the FAA officially designated the e-commerce colossus an air carrier on Monday. Yep, why not? Hey, listen, if hedge funds and Goldman Sachs and Capital One can be banks, why can't Amazon be an air carrier? Paving the way for Amazon to start testing plans to drop off packages within 30 minutes. Right? Could you imagine? The drones start freaking out, right? Driving recklessly. I don't know. Here's the thing. That's a job. I don't like it. I'd rather have someone that physically has to do at least, I don't know how many jobs right now are delivering stuff, right? From DoorDash to Postmates. I don't even know them all. I know, but, the amount of people. I just saw one yesterday. He was delivering next door. He was driving a kind of a nice car. I was kind of odd, but I guess that's just how it works. Guess what? Yeah, your days are numbered. The FAA's approval, a huge milestone for Amazon as it plans to dominate online shopping by dramatically reducing delivery times. Last year, the behemoth said it would start testing a shift away from 2-day shipping to 1-day shipping. Amazon says this will allow it to reduce shipping times to mere minutes once the customer hits the buy button, right? Hey, anything for convenience. What are we giving up for this convenience? And that's the part that really worries me, right? And, of course, obviously it's another tracking system, right, to know what everybody buys and all of these things. And you think about the technology and replacing jobs and now Amazon. I'm sure before it's all over, think about What is the effect going to have on the post office? I mean, the post office already loses billions and billions of dollars. What about UPS? What about FedEx? Is this going to affect those jobs? Probably. Right? If anything, I got to believe that FedEx and UPS, they want to be air carriers as well. And they may already be. I don't know. Right? They've got a lot of planes. But I'm sure if they don't, if they're not, I'm sure they're working on it as well. I don't know. I don't know how any of this ends. It's nuts. I wish I had some better news. Believe me, I'm looking for good news. Home prices hit an all-time record high. Is that good news? I don't know. Wall Street seemed to think so. Tesla stock split and Apple stock split. Apparently, that's good news. It was one of those, like 5 for 1 or something like that. New home price. By the way, home prices biggest rise in years in home prices, on top of it being an all-time record high. How about the president going to Kenosha today? That's going to be interesting. I mean, somewhere I don't get it. We need this to stop. People need to go back to work. People need to go back to work. How are we going to have? You tell me how we're going to have 70 million people on food stamps. How's that going to work? It can't be. But it certainly looks that way, and this is the reason you're seeing all of these places move to gold. I mean, if you asked me when I started, and you know what, I did it a few years. When I first got here, I didn't know anything, right? I didn't know anything. 17 years later, if you would have told me back, even during the financial crisis, hey, pension funds, retirement funds are going to start buying physical gold, I would have said, no way. No, they want to charge the fees. And, of course, I guess they figured out a way. I'm sure they're whacking fees on storage or whatever it may be. You won't be able to get to hold it, but they'll hold it for you. They figured that out. I'm sure of it. But now we even have that happening, where we see now the COMEX and the London Metal Exchange and the CME having to source bars from just about everywhere just to meet demand for the physical metals, because they're seeing this. It's obvious to them, just like it should be obvious to you. It's unfortunate. It's going to get worse before it gets better, but it will get better. The question is, what's going to happen to your finances between now and then? And I think the Federal Reserve made it very, very, very clear. They want your money to buy less. Home prices prove it. Car prices prove it. Wait till the airlines finish with all their layoffs. Airline flights are going to go back way up again as all their layoffs come into fruition. So we'll have to wait and see. But this is why people are going to gold. And this is why all of you out there listening, it's got to be a part. Hey, am I saying put all your money into gold? No way. Do people do it? Yes. Right? Just like a lot of people put all their money in the stock market. It's got to be a part. It's just keeps you whole. People talk about making money on this or that. It's not really about making money. It's about preserving your buying power. If you invested $10,000 into gold today, 10 years from now, that gold will buy the same thing that $10,000 bought today, which we know never happens now, right? Think about car prices, house prices, food prices, utility prices. I mean, I went, and I don't do this very often, but my wife's been out of town. I did go to McDonald's the other day, and I bought a large French fry. I didn't buy anything else there, but their fries are so good. Only when they're hot, by the way. $4? When did French fries cost $4 at McDonald's? Who knew? Patriot Radio News Hour. We'll be back after the break. 800-951-0592. I've got to jump off, take a phone call. Jason's going to wrap this show up. I may be back before it's over. U.S. $10 Liberties. Got 75 of them available for $1,100 apiece at 800-951-0592. Jason, are you there?
Yep, I'm here. I'm ready to go.
All right, buddy. I'll try to be back on. Thank you for taking over.
No problem. Hey, Arizona. This is Jason, the Colorado office, and I run the radio station here in Johnstown. And we're busy guys. And Joe gave me a call on the break. We got some. We only got so many hands to take care of all the phone calls and business. But I will take this opportunity to. I'm going to do a little bit of a preview. Anybody's been listening to Colorado, the Patriot Trading News Hour, and the Colorado Front Range News Hour, which is here in Colorado. You kind of know our story. My partner Brian and myself and Glenn in Maryland, we bought into this company when Joe was taking on partners and wanting to run a Colorado office. And my wife says I talk about it too much, but the way that we bought into this company is we sold our house and used all the equity. And to make this a full-time situation, I had to buy further into the company because it was not a part-time job. Joe envisioned me working part-time and being a process server, and the process server thing kind of went belly up for me 6 days after I bought in, but also it was not a part-time job. So I ended up giving them everything, all my equity, every stitch, every penny, every dollar to get into the situation. And then we had to borrow a little bit on the side. So I put everything I got into this thing. That's how much confidence I had that the Trump economic situation is not as good as they said it was, that a market crash was coming. And I've said it on the air many times that gloomy, dark things are going to happen because you can't do what the Federal Reserve does and what the United States government is doing and have a good outcome. You don't have million plus jobless claims every week for 4 months in a row without having some sort of a huge problem coming up. So they've bought themselves 6 months to a year with all the bailouts, and when the election is over, there'll be a huge crash. So working hard, and I was also something that Patriot Trading doesn't do is collectible coins, but that's something else I was doing for years and years. I was involved in collectible coins, and I had sets of this and sets of that, and I specialized in something called hard times tokens, which is independently minted coins back in the 1830s and 1840s when they were having Andrew Jackson was getting rid of the central bank of his time. He was eliminating it. And the people of America had to make their own coins because all the silver and gold coins were hoarded because nobody trusted the banks, and the banks were also creating a depression. So people were hoarding even the copper coins. A penny used to be a large coin about the size of a quarter. That's how much a penny used to be, a cent. Anyway, so I collected stuff like that. That was one of the things I didn't sell. That was something I was kind of holding back as sort of a savings beyond gold and silver because I was into that stuff, but. Through the 2.5 years that I've been working with Patriot Trading Group, my wife and I decided, hey, let's things are getting a little wacky, and if we do want to get a house, this might be the time to get it before things get really crazy later this year and next year. So I've been in the process of buying a house, and so as a preview, I'll talk about it a little bit here, and I think Brian and I will talk about it a little bit on the show at 3:00. The process, right, Joe, of getting a house isn't quite what it used to be, right?
Exactly. And by the way, Jason, thank you for jumping in, filling in for me there. I got to take a COVID test for my surgery, and then they called, and so, but it didn't take too long. Just very quickly, I will be out of the office part of the day on Thursday. Then I've got that surgery next week. But don't worry, we're going to stay on top of this. Jason's talking about housing, and it's incredible. The people that are buying the houses are the well-off. It just really is. I'm excited to have James Morgan tomorrow because we'll get a flavor. Obviously, he'll give you the local, the Colorado flavor, but really the whole country. It really is. We're seeing this everywhere. Everybody wants to get away from people, right? Kind of the opposite of what we see. Arizona, we're a sprawl city already. It's You drive until you can afford something, and by doing that, we're pretty well spread out. And I know, like up on the Front Range, you guys, there's a lot of open space out there, just not a lot of houses to be able to actually afford to buy. And now the process, it's like I'd rather get a root canal, right, than go through the home buying process. It's ridiculous the things they ask you for. When your bank statements aren't enough, there's a problem.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Well, I want the deposit slips that go along with the bank statement. What are you talking about?
And you got to tell me
how the bank just miraculously put money in my account?
And you got to tell us how you got that cash and put it in your bank account. Where did that cash come from?
Listen, cash is going away. It's going away, and they're doing it in the obvious ways, in the non-obvious ways, right? The obvious ways, it has COVID. Oh, if you have more than $10,000, you're a drug dealer, or you're a terrorist. You're just a bad person, right? And now they do it in the non-obvious ways. Well, hey, you put $10,000 of cash in your bank account over the last 4 months. What was that?
And Joe, I'll say this after at this part of the process, which is now going to take me another month. I figured out this morning. I'm gonna have to wait another month. I've determined through my process that it would be easier to buy a house as a drug dealer than it would be working hard and being honest. It's very much easier to buy a house as a drug dealer. They're not protecting.
Jason's going to explain why that is when we return. Patriot Radio News Hour. Pick up those 10s. Like I said, once they're gone, I can't get them. Cheaper than 20s today. 2 10s cheaper than a 20. $800-951-0592. We got 47 $10 Liberties left. Again, I apologize. Part of why I'm doing this today, we're out of 20s. We've been, and Jason can tell you this, incredibly busy.
Yeah.
We are one of the largest, this little coming, we're one of the largest sellers of $20 gold and all at the low end, just gone. So today, 2 $10 Liberties, they're $1,100 a piece. That'd be $2,200 for 2 of them. $20 gold piece is $22.25. So 2 10s today, cheaper than a 20 until they're gone at 800-951-0592. By the way, gold's up 19, almost 1980 now. 1980. Silver over 28.50 now for silver, as well as again early this morning we saw a big rally. A pullback. Now gold's rallying again. The dollar broke below 92, just like I thought it would. But before the break, Jason, you were saying, you said this to me this morning. You said to me on the phone this morning, because you had a feeling this was going to happen. Your purchase was going to get delayed because you produced an invoice where you had sold something.
That's right. You
produced your bank statement, which showed the deposit that matched the invoice, right? It's not like you didn't have paperwork.
Correct.
And they said, you know what? Nope, that's not good enough. We want the deposit slip, which you had, discarded.
Shredded, yeah. After about a
month. Right?
And
the bank was like, yeah, no, we can't do it. Right? We can't, they can't, won't, whatever. It's going to take too long. But you said to me, this is what you've learned in this process, that it would be easier for a drug dealer to buy a house than for you to buy a house. Explain that to people.
Yeah, I'll have to say this. There was not understanding the way the process is today, because I bought a house in 2004. It's much different today. And I'll say
constantly changing the rules.
Constantly
so anybody's thinking about buying a house and you have cash that you need to put into the bank, listen to what Jason has to say.
Yeah, well, and do it months and months ahead of time. It's like a big game. The guy that I'm using, James Morgan, is my realtor, and then I'm using one of his financial guys, and it's working out. The guys are good. They're protecting me, so I'm happy with that. But it's like a big game, and you have to. It's almost like a big job interview, and you got to. You're sitting in the little chair at the bottom of the room, and then you got the banker sitting there looking down at you from 15 feet above. That's the process they put you through, and they just. Joe, I'll say this. This is for me. This is the most astonishing part, which I already knew, but the lack of accountability and responsibility on their end. The amount of mistakes and lack of record keeping and not even caring how the numbers are thrown around, how the checks look. I had deposit. So my wife, I usually do all the deposits, Joe. My wife, I had her take a couple of these deposits recently, and she made complete ridiculous mistakes on these deposit slips. They shouldn't even accept it, the way the deposit slip was set up. There was not even a date on it. The numbers were in the wrong columns. She had checks listed in the cash lines. And they accepted all of it. And when one credit union reported to the next credit union, which is where it caused a lot of the problems, Joe, they just don't care. There's just no accountability. But boy, when it came to the cash, they sure cared, Joe.
Yeah, don't put the cash in. Give it to one of your relatives, and then have them loan it to you. It's easier that way, believe me.
Yep.
Don't put cash in the bank if you want to buy a house, or if you do, you got to wait like 3 months before you can do it. Patriot Radio News Hour, $10 liberties at 1100. Everybody take care.